Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. She was looking kind of dumb with
This is Gabe Bach of Texags Radio, and you're listening to The Nick Lott Show on Spreaker Web Radio, presented by ProduceOnWheels.com. Now here's your host, Nick Lott.
The Nick Lott Show is on Friday edition.
You're listening to the Nick Lott Show.
Not really sure what I want to talk about today because college football is inadvertent second play of that intro there. But not really sure what I wanted to talk to. Probably not going to be that long of a show. I just wanted to get some thoughts off my mind. Went out to the Tap yesterday, saw the Belushi Hour lunch, and one of the main topics of conversation was A&M started their spring practice today, the 28th, and got some of the new guys in, like Speedy Knoll and all their. They had a hell of a recruiting class, and all those guys are in. They're in the system. They're getting their reps in. Obviously, the first day you're not going to work too hard, but and they had some juniors come in for the junior day. Kyler Murray, one of the, if not the best quarterback in the country as a junior right now. He won the Texas State Championship, 5A Division, or Region 3, I think it was. But, I mean, that dude is just a beast. I was watching him in that state championship on TV, and he looked very much like Johnny Manziel. So, and he's a highly touted recruit. So, if Kyler Murray were to indeed come to Texas A&M, I think he wouldn't even miss a beat. The Aggies would be right back where they left off. But another main topic, I kind of just, this is the reason I made this show. I wanted to talk about this, give my 2 cents on it, and then that'll be that. On late Sunday night, early Monday morning, whatever you want to call it, Bryan Police Department arrested 2 Texas A&M defensive starters, Isaiah Golden and Darian Claiborne, and they're for possession of marijuana and minor in possession of alcohol. And this is Claiborne's second offense. Keep in mind, he was suspended for the bowl game against Duke for another possession charge, and I'm going to read the police report for you. Or actually, excuse me, that was on the 22nd, so Saturday night. Yeah, okay. So, Officer M. Jones was on foot patrol, Wellborn Road, at the Reveille Ranch Apartments. There was a criminal trespass advocate on file in this apartment complex, which gives law enforcement the ability to contact people on the property to determine if they reside at the complex. While walking through the complex near Building 20, I heard a male subject yelling on the other side of the building. I could clearly make out the phrase, "water in it." Bryan City Ordinance 5121 addresses unnecessary noise that interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of private residences. The level of the male's yelling could clearly be heard from a building away and was loud enough to be heard by approximately 15 apartments in the area. I cut through the breezeway off of Building 20 and observed a two-door silver sports car with its headlights on. There were several males talking loudly still in the car. The car was parked on the other side of the driveway in front of Building 2. The vehicle was parked in a handicap space without displaying proper handicap license plate or place card. I made contact at the passengers. This is such small print it's hard to read. I made contact with the passenger's side because I saw a subject enter who... What? This is so weirdly worded. I'm sorry, guys. But... And the font's like 0.8. But anyway, I immediately smelled a strong odor I know from my training and law enforcement experience to be marijuana. I requested second unit to assist my investigation, and for safety, I requested that all occupants stay off their phones for my safety. I then requested identification. The driver was identified to be Isaiah Golden. Front seat occupant was Darian Claiborne of Louisiana. Rear left seat was Speedy Knoll from Louisiana, and the rear right seat was Clifford Niles, who that guy is of no significance to the football team. Okay, so basically, I could read this 5-page police report, but you kind of get the gist of it. Basically, Isaiah Golden was charged with possession of marijuana, and Darian Claiborne wasn't charged for possession of marijuana, but he was charged with interfering with the investigation. And one thing that the cop said he kept saying was, "Oh no, this is going to ruin my football career, and I can't get in any more trouble," all this sort of thing. And I mean, when you've been in that situation before, like when you've already been suspended and clearly you need to make changes in your life. And I don't really have that much room to talk because right now I'm trying to make changes in my life. But I'm just saying, from my perspective, you're going to school for free to play the game that you love. Show a little bit more discipline in what you're doing. Because, I mean, I know it was the off season, and, I mean, if he wants to smoke a blunt, that's his deal. But right now he's dealing with the consequences, and he's suspended, and I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Sumlin kicks him off the team. I mean, he's a great player at almost 100 tackles this year, but that's the kind of guy that you don't necessarily need that kind of a distraction around your program, because all it's going to be is a problem in the long run. And, I mean, there's really no time or place for it. And the fact that he's worried about this is going to mess up his football career, maybe he should have thought twice about it before he was twisting up in a car, smoking in a car, and especially in a handicapped parking spot. I mean, that, and with your headlight, I mean, there's so many things wrong with that situation. I'm not condoning that what he did was right, because, I mean, it is an illegal substance, and like I said, he's paying for the consequence. He reaps what you reap what you sow, and if you want to go out and smoke a blunt, and whether it's a failed drug test or from the university or athletic department or whatever you want to call it, or having to deal with the law as far as police officers and law enforcement and things like that, I mean, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, is this really worth it? And like I said, I'm kind of going through that same type deal right now. I don't want to get into it too much personal stuff, but I mean, I realize that I have to make changes in my life, and there are some things that I used to do that I shouldn't do anymore because I realize with everything that I have riding on school and all that fun stuff that it's not really worth it anymore. And I mean, it was more of a phase than anything. I think a lot of college kids go through that, But athletes, they have to be held on a higher pedestal because they are going to school for free. They're not paying $25,000, $25, $30, $35, however much tuition is at A&M, $25,000, $30,000 a year to go to school. They're going for free, and they just get to play football on Saturdays in the fall. And so you have to, and I'm not saying that Kevin Sumlin doesn't run a tight ship, because obviously he does. These guys are suspended. They didn't practice today. Speedy Knoll, he was the number one receiver in the nation coming out of high school. And for him to be involved with that, and he came on, he's only been here about a month. And because he did early enrollment and to get in for spring practice and all that. And he's only been here a month. And if you're already associating yourself with that, granted, he's a great player. I mean, his stats in high school justify that. But if you're already surrounding yourself with that kind of image, if you're Kevin Sumlin, what do? I mean, if I were him, I'd have a sit-down talk with all three of these guys. Say, Darian, all right. I don't know if he's going to get kicked off the team, but if I were Coach Sumlin, I would do it. I'd say, look, this is your second time doing this in the past month and a half, 2 months. Clearly, I suspended you for the bowl game. Was that not enough? Clearly, whatever conversation they had about his suspension, I mean, I don't know the details or anything, but clearly Kevin Sumlin had to have said something along the lines of, hey, all right, what you messed up, I'm going to give you another chance. How many chances do you get before you say, okay, man, that's enough? And I think it would say great things about Kevin Sumlin as a coach if he were to suspend and or kick off kick him off the team, Darian Claiborne, because he is a good player. And that would just go to show that, okay, just because you make tackles for us and you're a monster on defense, no, everybody needs to be treated the same way. I mean, if he were a redshirt freshman, like when Johnny Manziel got arrested at Northgate, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. It wasn't that big of a deal at the time because Johnny Manziel wasn't Johnny Manziel as we know him now. And the way I see this whole situation playing out, I want to see Darian Claiborne suspended. And looking at this bigger picture, Texas A&M doesn't start off next year with a cakewalk. They have to go to South Carolina. That's going to be a tough game, especially without Johnny taking the snaps and what they've lost in Jake Matthews on the line. Granted, they still have a good line with Cedric Herbwegi and Ifedi, and I mean, I think they'll be fine, but they do not need this on defense again. That already happened this past season with Rice, and I mean, they don't need that anymore. And if I were Kevin Sumlin, I'd kick him off the team. That's just my 2 cents. That's all I was going to talk about. So now that that's out there, one thing I am that in this little, I wouldn't consider it a job because I don't get paid for it, in this hobby that I do, one thing I will be, since it is my own show and nobody tells me what I can and can't say, I'm going to say what's on my mind. Why should I hold anything back? People are going to respect you more if you're straight up. If you're straight, I could easily say, oh, well, Darian Claiborne this, Isaiah Golden that. But no, I'm going to tell it how it is. I'm going to put in my 2 cents on it, and if you don't like it, you don't have to listen to me. But if you do like it, keep on listening. This has been the Nick Lott Show on Spreaker Web Radio. Gonna start, before I leave, I'm gonna start doing, in a couple weeks, I'm gonna do a show with a buddy of mine, Ryan Musich. It's gonna be called No Mercy. He's like me, he tells it like it is. It's gonna be a great show, guys, so be looking forward to that. This has been the Nick Lott Show on Spreaker Web Radio. Short but sweet. Thank you for tuning in.
Turn my speakers up and then I just start swinging. Sometimes I get behind the wheel, then I start to steer.